Greetings to everybody. Welcome to the literature reading session. We are reading from the talks from Vinobha Bhave, talks on Gita by Vinobha Bhave. We are on the chapter Program for the Seeker. And here we're talking about living life with the concept of yajna, dana, tapas, without being attached to the result of the actions and all that. Tying that with the heartfulness method and as well as what sage Patanjali says. Just trying to understand the comparison. Sage Patanjali's main focus was attaining samadhi, which is a balanced state. And the state of samadhi is described as a state of total absorption where the mind becomes one-pointed and still. It becomes still. This state directly relates to the idea of samavastha, a state of equilibrium. This state of equilibrium is described by Lalaji Maharaj in our literature as avyaktagati, undifferentiated state. Samavastha, undifferentiated state. So the sadhana that we are doing should bring us to that state of being of samavastha, avyaktagati, undifferentiated state, a state of equilibrium, a state of stillness. And that reflects in our behavior, in the way we speak, the way we radiate. If we are continuously radiating hyperactivity, that means we are not in that state of being. Hyperactivity does not mean we are achieving higher things or doing more things. Because if you look at master's condition, Daji's condition, always in that state of samavastha, that state of equilibrium. And yet he is able to achieve so many things. So this is where we need to instill that condition after meditation and make it permanent and try to imitate it and see how we can retain this state of samavastha. And now after meditation, this avyaktagati, this state of samavastha, stillness, when it becomes permanent, now that condition creates the feeling, and that feeling gives you the right thoughts, and that right thoughts give you the right actions and behavior. So you can perform like how Lord Krishna is talking to us. And according to Sage Patanjali, this path to stillness lies in the Chitta Vritti Nirodha, to the practice. When the mind that is fluctuating, it comes to a cessation, it comes to a stillness. And when mind is absorbed and become a meditative mind, it becomes dhyanaja chitta. And this is attained according to Sage Patanjali by two things. One is abhyasa and vairagya. Abhyasa is sadhana. Vairagya is not truly non-attachment. Vairagya is attachment to the soul. This happens in our method, heartfulness way, in the very first sitting when the flow of the chitlake current is diverted to the soul. Then you become aware of the presence of the soul itself, and you become aware of the fragrance of the soul, and now your attachment is moving towards the soul than the external world. Abhyasa and Vairagya. So in Samadhi, these stages gradually take us to that Samavastha. It has different levels of concentration. The mind, say, there is called Samprajnata Samadhi. That means you are still cognitive, you are aware that you have the divine light in your heart. With that idea of that, the mind is refined and comes to a state of balance. In Asamprajnata Samadhi, that it's non-cognitive, that is, it's almost called as seedless, it's nirbija. The mind is not just absorbed on the light, it is absorbed in the pure consciousness itself. All the impressions have left in that purity, which Lord Krishna says. When the mind comes to stillness, purity manifests. Parabhakti manifests. In that state of parabhakti and purity, samskaras do not remain in that pure state, they leave. So that in that state, the mind comes to this state of equilibrium, samavastha. And Patanjali talks about this as seedless samadhi, nirbija samadhi. And that state of nirbija samadhi, where the mind is completely absorbed in that pure consciousness, and it is established in its true nature. Purusha is established in its true nature. That's how Patanjali, Sage Patanjali describes it. So it is defined as where the yogi remains in that liberated, equilibrium, balanced state. And in that balanced state, whatever he is acting is spontaneous, it is effortless, and he is engaging in the day-to-day activities. And it is an ever-present samadhi, where the external actions do not disturb our internal stillness. That is skill in action. For that, the struggle for self-mastery is there. Abhyasa and Vairagya. So that is how Sage Patanjali mapped out a step by step to achieve that ultimate state, which is the permanent and effortless balanced state. Samavastha or Sahaja Samadhi as it is described. And this, Lalaji Maharaj says, it's Avyaktagati, undifferentiated state. In our system, how do we arrive at this undifferentiated state? When the master gives us sittings, whether him directly or through the prefect, at every chakra, the darkness is released, light is released, luminosity is released, and the point, from every atom, impurities and complexities are purged out, and the chakra is brought to a state of balance, and then the chakra is connected to the absolute. That is when you achieve the mastery. So as an abhyasi also, if we are aware that that's what we are releasing, then the progress becomes faster. And this happens at every chakra until we perfect, until the journey in each chakra is mastered for the aspirant. And all this is facilitated by the flow of the prana to bring us to that state of samavastha. And thereby, whatever actions we perform are according to the principles of Lord Krishna. We do our duty. We are not involved in it. So, continuing on what Vinobha Bhave has to say, it is difficult for the acts of service to be fully saturated with the true spirit of service. When we seek well-being of others, we satisfy our own interests too. There is no action which is purely in the interest of others. See, all these things are solved for us at one shot by Babaji Maharaj, performing in remembrance. Remembrance of whom you are connected with. It is impossible to do anything that is free from even a trace of self interest. We should therefore wish that our service should become more and more selfless and desireless. If there is a wish to do increasingly purer service, then you must dedicate all the actions to the Lord. Here, recently Daji gave a talk somewhere and he mentioned that if you deeply in your heart wish to truly become pure and truly become loving and compassionate, nature starts to flow towards us and creates circumstances where we transform like that. This is for true seekers. But you have to call it from your heart because we don't want to let go. We say it verbally, I want to be good, but you truly inside, you cannot let go of your weaknesses. Hence, Lalaji Maharaj's technique of this weakness has left me for good. I have no attachment to it. For everything, this pull is there towards the external. Jnanadeva said, Vaishnavas, that is Bhaktas, taste the nectar like sweetness of the name of the Lord, and the yogis have mastered the art of living. Sweetness of the name and the art of living are not two different things. Chanting the name from within and mastering the art of living, these are in tune with each other. The Bhakta and the yogi are one and the same. When actions are dedicated to the Lord, self interest, altruism, and the super interest, that is the supreme good, will become one. I and you are now apart. They should first be united to form we, which should then be united with Him, with the Lord. Firstly, we should achieve harmony with the world and then with the Lord. That is what the mantra Om Tat Sat suggests. And that is why in the heartfulness prayer, it says, Thou art the real goal of human life. We are but slaves of our wishes. We are uniting the entire world. The Lord has countless names. Vyasa compiled 1,000 of them in Vishnu Sahasranama, 1,000 names of Lord Vishnu. In fact, any name that we can think of is His. Whatever name appeals to us, we should take it to be one of His names and should see the corresponding attribute present in the whole of creation and shape our life in accordance with it. To meditate on a name, to see the corresponding attribute present in the whole of creation, and to imbibe that attribute, I call it Tripada Gayatri, three-step sacred mantra of deliverance. For example, if we take the name Dayamaya or Rahim, one full of mercy and compassion, that is, look upon the divine as merciful and compassionate, we should envision the merciful and compassionate Lord pervading the entire creation. We should realize that He has given a mother to every child. He has given air for all to breathe. Thus, we should see that in the scheme of the merciful and compassionate Lord, there are mercy and compassion. Then we should infuse mercy and compassion into our own lives. The Gita suggested the name that was most prevalent in that age, Om Tat Sat. Om means yes. Yes, God exists. He exists even in this 20th century. He exists today, He existed yesterday, and He shall exist tomorrow. He is always there. The creation too is always there. And we too are ever ready to continue our spiritual quest in all earnestness. We are the seekers and the worshippers. He is the divine, and everything in the creation is a means for worship. When our whole being gets charged with this feeling, we may be said to have digested the meaning of Om. So, this is the part. When our whole being gets charged with this feeling that He is the Lord and everything is in the creation is a means for worship. We may have said to have digested the meaning of Om. The spirit of Om should permeate our being and find expression in our sadhana. We talk about it in the very beginning that this book is talks on Gita by Vinobha Bhave. And if you have logged in late, it is not fair to disturb, and you should wait until the end. The spirit of Om should permeate our and find expression in our sadhana. See the sun at any time. It is always there with its rays, never without them. In the same way, our sadhana should be clearly visible in our life at all and all the times. This is what Daji is talking about. Our sadhana, our behavior should reflect our inner state of being, our sadhana. One moment we are hyper, running around. Next moment we are sitting and giving a sitting. Doesn't match. This state of samavastha has to manifest. And that is why he says, Revered Daji says, in the morning after meditation, take enough time, spend enough time, give that extra time for yourself to establish the condition and gather yourself and don't just jump out of the condition. Only then it can be said that we have assimilated the spirit of Om. Here, Vinobha Bhave is talking about Om as the condition, and that condition is the state of Abhyaktagati, a state of Samavastha, undifferentiated state, equilibrium, balance. Then comes Sat. The Lord is the Sat, that is, He is good and auspicious. Look at the creation with this feeling, and you will find His goodness and auspiciousness in it. When you take out a pitcher full of water from a river, a pit is not formed there. Surrounding water rushes in immediately to fill the depression. What an expression of love and benignity. A river abhors depressions. The water of a river is clean and pure because it is flowing continuously and speedily. The river of creation is also getting purified continuously and speedily. That is why it is good and auspicious. Let our actions too be likewise. To understand the Lord as Sat, all our actions should be full of purity and devotion. All our actions, our entire sadhana, should be continually examined and progressively purified. So, what is this state of Sat that they are saying equivalent to the Lord? That is the frequency of the flow of the prana in us. In meditation, that flow of the prana gets regulated, where after every meditation you come to that poised, calm, peaceful state. And that needs to be maintained. And when you maintain that, then our actions become pure. Because now you are performing from a balanced state where the clarity of the mind is there. So if something is disturbing, your heart gets disturbed. So you know this action is not right action. So to understand the Lord as Sat, all our actions should be full of purity and devotion. For us, it's the other way around. When you arrive at the state of Sat, your actions become automatically pure. All our actions, our entire sadhana should be continually examined and progressively purified. And this is what Daji talks about, introspection. I read a quote once that said, an unexamined life is not worthy life, according to Socrates. Without introspection and moment by moment correcting ourselves, when we live life, we are wasting life. So moment by moment we have to see where can I be corrected, where can I change, because every moment is our opportunity for transformation. So that he talks about Sat. Then comes Tat. Tat means that, something different, something unattached to the creation. The Lord is distinct from the creation and is unattached to it. As the sun rises, the lotuses bloom, the birds leave their nests, darkness disappears. But the sun is somewhere far off, quite aloof from all these outcomes. When our actions become detached and disinterested, it can be said that we have digested Sat. When our actions become detached and disinterested, that does not mean vairagya in the sense of that you're not interested in the external world. That means you are interested in the soul. In this way, the Gita teaches us to dedicate all the actions to the Lord using the Vedic name Om Tat Sat. The idea of dedicating all the actions to the Lord has already been introduced in the ninth chapter. The verse tells the same thing. The same idea has been elaborated further in the 17th chapter. This chapter has particularly pointed out that the actions to be dedicated to the Lord must be sattvic, for only then they will be worthy of being offered to Him. So, actions performed in the state of being of Sat are worthy. So, how is heartfulness helping us? With meditation, when you arrive at that state of Samavastha, you are in that state of Sat. And in remembrance, when you are performing, this automatic dedication happens because you're not even aware you are performing, you're doing this and that. You are doing. The name of the Lord effaces sins. All this is very well. Still, a question remains. A virtuous man may be able to digest the name Om Tat Sat. What about a sinner? Is there any name that a sinner could take to? Yes, a sinner too can chant Om Tat Sat. All names of the Lord can lead us from untruth to truth, from sin to innocence. You must purify your life gradually. The Lord will then certainly help you. He will support you in your moments of weakness. If I am asked to choose between virtuous but egoistic life on the one hand and sinful but humble life on the other, I may falter in giving an unequivocal answer, but my heart would certainly exclaim, let me rather have the sins which turn me towards the Lord. If a virtuous life is going to make me forget Him, then let me rather have a sinful life that makes me think of Him. Now, it's a different concept where they are trying to introduce humility. Because we are doing good acts, the power of ego takes over us. And that to cross that circles of ego is not easy. That is why, while we are still in the heart region, traversing at the fourth point, we have to practice this humility. Humility begins at that place because you recognize the Lord. And then the door becomes smaller and smaller. So we have to bow and bow and bow. If a virtuous life is going to make me forget Him, then let me rather have a sinful life that makes me think of Him. It is not that I am justifying a sinful life, but vanity about the purity of life is a greater sin. Tukaram has said, O Lord, I am afraid of being learned. Let it not separate me from you. Let not the knowledge separate me from you. Let us not have such greatness. It is better to be a sinner and grieve. A mother separates from herself a grown up child, but she would hold to her bosom her innocent child. I do not want to be virtuous and independent. Rather, let me be a sinner and dependent on the Lord. His holiness is more than enough to wash away my sins. We should try to avoid sins if we fail in our efforts. Our heart will cry out for His help. He is always there watching fondly. Tell Him, I am nothing and that is why I have come to your door. A virtuous man has the right to think of the Lord and seek refuge in Him because he is virtuous. A humble has the right to do so because he is humble. We finished chapter 17. We have only one chapter left, which is chapter 18, which is conclusion. Renunciation of the fruit of actions leads to the grace of the Lord. We will finish it next week.